Hi everybody, welcome to this unit in which we're going to be covering the all-important chapter of 1 Corinthians 15. We're going to see that not only is 1 Corinthians 15 critical to Paul's argument and what we might call the story arc of the letter as a whole, but 1 Corinthians 15 has tremendous, untold historical value. When we read this chapter, we are reading the first written description and early Christian tradition of Jesus' resurrection. It's often hard to remember that Paul's letters are written decades before the Gospels achieve their fixed form. And so this is the best window that we have into the way the earliest Christians in the few short decades after Jesus' death and resurrection are talking about his resurrection. It's here that we get the tradition of hundreds of people seeing Jesus at one time after his resurrection. It's here that we get Paul's formula that this has been handed down to him, a rabbinic formula stating that Paul is simply transmitting the tradition that preceded him and that he has been taught by the Christian community. And so we tread holy ground when we study 1 Corinthians 15. Paul is, of course, not simply recording history for history's sake. Paul's addressing yet another crisis in the Corinthian church. And this is a crisis that is straightaway connected to many of the other theological and practical issues that we've seen ever since chapter 5, namely a devaluing of the body. This is probably at the heart of many of the problems that we've seen in the last 10 chapters. The problem of incest, of sexual immorality, of food eaten that had been sacrificed to idols. It seems that many Corinthians, almost in a proto-Gnostic format, simply couldn't conceive of the fact that the body mattered that much to God. And so it's unsurprising that they were questioning the bodily nature of Jesus' resurrection. It's amazing that what goes around comes around. The Corinthians who are causing the problem of 1 Corinthians 15 sure do begin to sound like liberal historical Jesus scholars, for whom the idea of bodily resurrection is just too unpalatable. Paul, however, his response is very, very clear in 1 Corinthians 15. Bodies matter. Bodies matter so much that the resurrection of the dead, the general resurrection, will be bodily. It won't be spiritual. The bodies will not take the exact same form as the flesh and blood we know now, but Paul is clear, the resurrection will be bodily. It's also important to note that in Paul's theology, the general resurrection of believers is intrinsically connected to the resurrection of Jesus. If you were to ask Paul the Apostle, what are the implications of the resurrection of Jesus? What does the resurrection of Jesus really mean? I believe Paul's answer would be simple and straightforward. Paul would say, it means that believers will one day be resurrected to live and to reign with Jesus. So I look forward to your engagement with the readings this week. I think you'll be motivated, shaped, and challenged. And I encourage you to have a wonderful week studying 1 Corinthians 15. God bless.